Would you like to improve your English fluency so you can easily read articles and understand the advanced grammar and the advanced vocabulary? Well, you're in the right place because today we're going to review an advanced article together and I'll teach you all the expressions that you need to know to understand the article. Welcome back to JForrest English. I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Let me read the headline. Canada's population surpasses 40 million. Surpasses, this means more than. Another word is exceed. So right now, Canada has more than 40 million people. Exceed is another way of saying it. So in this case, because it is in the present simple, exceeds, surpasses, I'll put exceeds with an S. What's the population of your country? Most likely it's more than 40 million because Canada has a very small population. So share what your country is and its population in the comments. They will be really interesting. Now, I'm Canadian, if you didn't know. And interestingly, I had no idea that Canada's population surpassed 40 million. A student shared the news with me, so thank you to that student. And now I'm reviewing the article with everyone. Let's continue on. Statistics Canada has a population clock. So this here looks like it is the population clock, which estimates Canada's population in real time based on a number of factors. So in real time, that means as it's happening. So on Saturday at 2:34 p.m., it will have the data for Canada's population. And this number is always increasing, or even potentially it could decrease as well. A population can go down. So that means in real time as it's happening. As it's happening. Based on a number of factors, and then they list the factors like recent trends for births. That's one factor. Deaths and migration data. Let's talk about migration. I have a lot of students who ask, and native speakers who ask, what's the difference between migration and immigration? So first, let's talk about immigration, the term you're probably more familiar with. Immigration is the concept of permanently moving to a foreign country. Now, migration simply means moving. So the difference really is the fact that immigration sounds more permanent, where migration, it could be someone coming to Canada to study, and they're only going to stay for their education and then they plan to go back, or they're only in Canada temporarily and then they plan to go back. So there's less of an emphasis on permanency. So that's the main difference here. Migration data. So it's saying that this total, it represents people who are in the country even on a temporary reason. For example, studying for a 1-year diploma, they're still counted in this total. The clock hit 40 million just before 3 p.m. on Friday, June 16th. Let's talk about the verb hit. This is one of those verbs that is widely used in English and has many different meanings, depend on how it's used. Of course, there's the more literal definition of hit, which is this, hit. In this context, that's not what it means. When you hit something, in this case, it means you reach a target. And 40 million is the target. So hit simply means reach, but when you use it, oh, we hit 40 million, it sounds like more of an accomplishment, whereas reach doesn't have that sense of accomplishment. So for example, in a company, they might say, we hit our sales goal for this year and it's only July. So it's only halfway through the year, but they hit their sales goal. They reached it. They achieved it. So that's how you can use hit as well. And remember that hit in the past form is still hit. Yesterday, we hit our sales goal. I created a free lesson PDF that summarizes everything from this lesson, so you can look in the description for the link to download that. Let's continue. This is an exciting milestone for Canada. A milestone is an important accomplishment for a person, a company, a country, a group. An important accomplishment. So for you, you might say graduating from university was a major milestone in my life, or having a child, getting married, buying my first house, finding my first job. Notice how I started all of those examples in the gerund. Finding my first job. So finding my first job, or the love of my life, was, because the action has already been completed, was a major, you don't have to say major, you could just say milestone, was a major milestone in my life. This is a great sentence for you to practice, so why don't you do that right now? What was a major milestone in your life? Share that in the comments and put your verb in the ing in the gerund form. So put that in the comments to practice that. And I'm excited to find out what your major milestone was. It is a strong signal that Canada remains a dynamic and welcoming country. Dynamic is a great adjective to add to your vocabulary. And it means having a lot of ideas and enthusiasm. So Canada remains a dynamic country. So notice we're using dynamic as an adjective to describe what type of country Canada is. So you could use this for your company, your school, your organization. I work in a dynamic company, for example. Full of potential, said Chief Statistician Anil Arora in a media statement. Let's take a look at this. Could be a difficult word to pronounce. Statistician. Statistician. So notice how I connect this. Statistician. 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 Try it. Statistician. Okay, you can practice that. Chief statistician. So a statistician is someone who analyzes statistics. And by saying chief, it means they are the main statistician, the most important, the highest rank, the highest ranking statistician. So I'll put that highest rank. Canada's population growth rate currently stands at 2.7%. So the growth rate means every year Canada's population increases by 2.7%, which is the highest annual growth rate since 1957, when Canada was experiencing its post-war baby boom. Now this, you may be familiar with the term baby boomers. Baby boomers. This describes a generation, and it's the generation that was born right after the war. And that generation is my parents' generation. So generally people in their 60s and 70s, I believe, would be considered baby boomers. And I'm not sure if this is happening in your country, but in Canada right now, all the baby boomers are retiring. This massive amount of people are exiting the workforce right now. So it's a very interesting time in the economy. Baby boomers. Is that a term that you're familiar with in your country? Is there a large population that resulted after the war? Share that in the comments as well. I'd be interested to know. Canada's population reached 30 million in 1997 and could reach 50 million as early as 2043 if the current trend continues. Canada's population reached 30 million. Now remember, we could say hit 30 million because generally numbers that end in 0 or 5 are considered the major accomplishments, the milestones. So we could use our other verb we learned, hit. And remember, this is the past form as well. So although we have reached with an ED, it's just hit. Canada's population reached 30 million, which was an important milestone in 1997 and could reach 50 million as early as 2043. Now notice here they used the modal could reach. First of all, remember that after a modal verb, you only use the base form. So modal plus base. So no to reach, could to reach. No, modal plus base always. And this is because it's a potential. The possibility exists, but that doesn't mean it actually will happen. So the potential is there, but it's not guaranteeing anything. Potential. So this is, if you understand how this is used, we use this a lot to say something like, I could help you. I could help you move this weekend. So I'm saying the potential is there. My schedule is open. I'm available, but I'm not going to. Now, this isn't a very nice thing to say to someone, but we use this as a little bit of a joke. Oh, I could help you, but I'm not going to. Just kidding. Of course, I'll help you move this weekend. So that's a fun way, if you know how to properly use could, you can make a little joke like this. You probably don't want to say that to your boss, though. I'll leave that to your discretion. As early as, they're saying 2043 is the earliest time that this could happen, but it could also happen later. So they're using as early as just to state the earliest time, not that other times aren't possible. For example, if you're planning a wedding, a party, or even a conference, you could say, guests will arrive as early as 3:00 p.m. So this doesn't mean that every guest will arrive at 3. This is just the earliest time they'll arrive. Of course, it's possible for them to arrive at 3:30, 4:00, even 5:00 if they're extremely late. But this is the earliest time, as early as. So for deadlines, you can use this. You might say, I can get you the report as early as 9 a.m. Or you could put Saturday. Why would you submit a report on Saturday? Tuesday. Now you're letting your boss know or your coworker know this is the earliest time, but it may be later than that. Okay, let's continue on. Last year, Canada's population increased by a record of 1.05 million people. You could put 1.05, 1.05. Both of those for pronouncing it are fine. 1.05 million people. And I haven't mentioned this, but remember that we don't put an S on million. I hear students say this a lot. Oh, there are 1 millions in my country. No, you don't say that. It's 1 million. But what do you notice about this? A lot of students forget that people is plural. It's an irregular plural. So there's no S on it, but it is plural because what's the singular of people? Person. One person, 2 people. So the S is on the noun, not the number. That's why we say, I made $3 billion last year. Cha-ching. So here, you put it on the noun, dollars. Or you could say, I made 3 million posters. That's a lot of posters. So you put the S on the noun. You don't put an S on here. 300, 3,000, 3 million, 3 billion, singular, posters, plural. Statistics Canada reported that 96% of that increase was due to international migration. So notice how here they put in brackets permanent and temporary. It would have been useful if they put that at the very top when we were talking about migration, so you knew. But if you understand the word migration, you know that it means both permanent and temporary, because remember, that's how I explain the difference to you. So just moving. So I'll add that, moving permanently or temporarily for migration. And immigration, it implies permanent. You want to stay in that country permanently. Let's get back to it. In 2022, Canada welcomed 437,000. Okay, 437. When I see 3 zeros, I know that the number before is 1,000. 437. You don't have to say 437. It's not necessary. 437,180. And remember, the S goes on the noun, immigrants, into the country, reflecting Canada's high immigration targets. Now, because this is a target, remember, when you're talking about reaching or achieving that, you can use the verb hit. We hit our target. We hit our target, which means you reached or achieved that target. Immigration is one of the main way. Immigration is one of the main way the country. Does that sound weird to you? Immigration is one of the main way the country deals. Something's wrong with this. There's a typo or a minor grammar mistake because this has to say way. It's not optional. Right now, this article has a typo, which means there's a grammar mistake in the article. It has to be ways. Okay. Now, this sometimes confuses students because you have one of. When you have one of, it means you're selecting one from a group. So the noun that comes next has to be plural because one of. Okay. Here's an easy example. One of. So my noun has to be plural. Flavors. One of my favorite flavors of ice cream is, we use is because is matches one. One is. And then you provide one option. So I wouldn't list 2 or 3 flavors. I only list one. Mint chocolate chip. What is one of your favorite flavors of ice cream? So this implies I have other favorite flavors and I'm just sharing one. So share that in the comments. What is one of your favorite flavors of ice cream? And practice this and make sure you get that S. And I'll cross this out so you know it was a mistake. Immigration is one of the main ways the country deals with its demographic challenges. Canada has an aging population. Remember, I shared that the baby boomers, they're all becoming 60, 70, they're exiting the workforce, they're aging, becoming older. So that's aging, becoming older. Now, technically, we're all aging. We're all becoming older. Canada has an aging population, and the natural birth rate is not high enough to grow the population itself. By having natural birth rate, they mean the birth rate of Canadians, of people in Canada. And they included that because it relates to the next sentence. As a result, Canada needs immigrants. We need people from other countries, maybe you, to come to Canada permanently. to help maintain and grow the country's workforce. Because remember, I said the baby boomers are exiting the workforce because they're all 60, 70 years old. They're ready to retire. So again, if you haven't shared in the comments, I would be very interested to know if this is a situation that your country is dealing with as well. Immigration accounts for almost 100% of Canada's labor force growth. Wow, 100%, almost. That's quite a staggering statistic. According to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, this is just the name of a government department. By 2023, immigrants are projected to be about 30% of Canada's population. So projected, this means calculated based on information already known. So you could say estimated, but when you say estimated, it sounds more of a guess, because when you estimate something, you don't actually have the information. But when you project something, it's more based on looking at the information and then making a prediction based on that information. So it sounds more accurate to me than estimated. Immigrants are projected to be about 30% of Canada's population. Now, one other thing I noticed about the article is that they said by 2023. This seems odd to me. Does it seem odd to you? Or do you know why it seems odd to me? This is a new article. This article is from June 2023. But if you say by 2023, you're saying 2023 is the deadline. But 2023 starts January 1st. And we are in June, which is already several months. But they're saying it is projected to happen by a deadline that's technically in the past. So that to me doesn't make sense. I wonder if 2023 is a typo and maybe they meant to say 2025 or a date in the future, because we can't use by with a timeline in the past. And when this article was written in June 2023, this was already in the past. Another way to correct this mistake is to say by the end of 2023, because now the deadline is December 2023, which is in the future. But by 2023 means January 2023, which is currently in the past. And it does not make sense to me to say by and a past date if you're talking about a future projection. Again, the final way is you could say by 2025 and have a date in the future. So that's how I would correct this as well. And that's the end of the article. And what I'll do now is I'll go to the top and I'll read the article from start to finish. And this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Canada's population surpasses 40 million. Statistics Canada has a population clock, which estimates Canada's population in real time based on a number of factors like recent trends for births, deaths, and immigration data. The clock hit 40 million just before 3 p.m. on Friday, June 16th. This is an exciting milestone for Canada. It is a strong signal that Canada remains a dynamic and welcoming country, full of potential, said Chief Statistician Anil Arora in a media statement. Canada's population growth rate currently stands at 2.7%, which is the highest annual growth rate since 1957, when Canada was experiencing its post-war baby boom. Canada's population reached 30 million in 1997 and could reach 50 million as early as 2043 if the current trends continue, according to Statistics Canada. Last year, Canada's population increased by a record of 1.05 million people. Statistics Canada reported that 96% of that increase was due to international, permanent, and temporary migration. In 2022, Canada welcomed 437,180 immigrants into the country, reflecting Canada's high immigration targets. Immigration is one of the main ways the country deals with its demographic challenges. Canada has an aging population, and the natural birth rate is not high enough to grow the population itself. As a result, Canada needs immigrants to help maintain and grow the country's workforce. Immigration accounts for almost 100% of Canada's labor force growth, according to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. By 2023, immigrants are projected to be about 30% of Canada's population. Do you enjoy learning English with the news? If you do, then make sure you subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can download it for free from my website right here. Now, why don't you get started with your next lesson right now?